Well, this is what the Comstock neighborhood looked like 9 days after a freak snowstorm. A week later, and some roads still closed as the city works to clean up all that debris. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone. I'm Whitney Ward. For some, the cleanup came easy, but for others, they're still waiting. KREM 2's Tim Pham looked into why it's taking so long and whose responsibility it is to pick up all the mess.
There's still a lot of debris all over the Comstock neighborhood on the South Hill. It's one of the areas that city crews are still working to clean up. Trees, branches, and leaves still litter many neighborhoods in Spokane. A reminder of a damaging snowstorm. So bad, the city used its snowplow route to tackle the mess.
There was so much debris concentrated in areas, it was difficult to say I'm going to this spot, because when they got to that spot, then there was debris all up and down the street.
It's safe to say no one really expected the damage to be this bad. As of this afternoon, Marlene Feist with the city of Spokane says they've cleaned up nearly all of the debris that fell in the public right-of-way.
The big bulk areas will be done by today.
So what's taking so long? Feist says there's been some confusion about who's responsible. We found out crews aren't cleaning up debris off of private property. That's the responsibility of the owners. Meanwhile, much of what you see in places like Manitou Boulevard Strip or at parks is the city's job. Many property owners are taking advantage of the free tree disposal at the waste-to-energy facility.
So people are doing their part. They are getting trees cleaned up on their property and in their neighbor's property and taking that in.
The lines at the facility on Geiger Boulevard speak for themselves. In the last 9 days, 3,000 loads have been brought in, weighing more than 680 tons. So if you have some debris specifically related to the snowstorm, you can bring it to the waste-to-energy facility at no charge through Saturday. Reporting in Spokane, I'm Tim Pham, KREM 2 News.
Whole lot of debris right there. All right, to weather now. Rain showers are expected to move through the area tonight.
Yeah, meteorologist Tom Sherry's in the Weather Center where he is tracking kind of a great big faucet turning on over the northwest for the next several days, right, Tom?
Yeah, and it's only the cold tap that's open because it is going to be cold rain, possibly even rain mixing with snow. Right now we're at 52 degrees, cloudy skies. We've had a few showers that have moved through the area. As you can see, downtown Spokane looks wet because we just had rain down there. I'm going to run the future tracker wind gusts for you. You want to pay attention to where you see the reds and the purples. Let's run this thing through tonight. You can see down in the Yakima Valley where it's purple. Those are the highest wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour possibly. And it doesn't get overly windy here at 1:30 in the morning, but as we start working our way into Friday morning around 9:30, you see the wind really increasing in northern Idaho and western Montana, and that it does get windy in Spokane. We start getting in that 25 to 30 mile per hour range, and we continue through your Saturday. Even though Saturday is going to be a wet day, we're not expecting much in the way of wind, at least locally here in the inland northwest. Different story down in southwestern Washington. Latest satellite radar, as you can see, we've got plenty of rain now that's moving through areas of eastern Washington and northern Idaho. I told you about the rain that just moved through downtown. You can see it right there on the Doppler radar. So continued showers expected this evening as well as overnight with a low of 40 degrees. Tomorrow will be partly cloudy, some rain at times. Right now it looks like mostly in the late afternoon and back into the Friday night hours. Saturday is just going to be a wet day. Highs will only climb into the mid 40s. We could see a rain snow mix. I don't think we'll see any sort of accumulation. I do think the passes though early in the morning will pick up snow. It's really going to be a cold one. 44 the high, 50 on Sunday with drier weather expected, but a cold overnight low, so could even see some slick streets with that low of 33. I'll check the rest of your 7-day outlook coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Tom, thank you. Another earthquake rattled parts of central California. Tremors were felt early this morning. This one measured as a 3.7 magnitude, according to the USGS.
The earthquake comes just 1 day after a 3.4 quake rattled Hollister and Salinas. A 4.5 magnitude quake hit that same area on Tuesday. The big question tonight, what is causing these quakes? Experts are looking to see if the earthquakes were triggered by an explosion at a fuel storage facility in the Bay Area. That explosion forced thousands of people to stay home due to unhealthy air.
Emergency management teams in California are now launching a statewide earthquake early warning system. They made the announcement today on the 30th anniversary of the deadly Loma Prieta earthquake.
The new system will give people more time to drop, cover, and hold on.
Seconds save lives. Early warning can allow people incredible opportunity to prepare, to cover their heads with the pillows, to duck and roll, to avoid more catastrophic loss like was experienced 30 years ago.
One person died during the Loma Prieta quakes, and the upper deck of the Bay Bridge collapsed. It took crews 24 years to replace the bridge.
Well, it's now been over half a year since a massive fire destroyed several businesses in downtown Sandpoint. That fire was deemed an accident, but several store owners were affected. And tonight, one of those stores is finally back open for business.
But as KREM 2's Taylor Vito explains, their new location is not in Sandpoint.
Who knew making chocolate had so many moving parts?
This is a stone grinder.
Well, the science is no surprise to Dennis Powell, of course. He's been cranking out sweets for years.
Dark chocolate with salt, dark chocolate with nuts.
Powell and his wife own the Sandpoint Chocolate Bear, but the stocked shelves and this busy kitchen at their Spokane Valley facility is something new and much different than what their other storefront looked like back in February.
It was a tragedy.
A fire gutted the building containing Powell's Sandpoint store and a handful of other stores. It was ruled an accident. The shops were right in the heart of the city's downtown.
I was there the day the fire was. I was right out there. I was like, I told them, we're going to rebuild. We're going to come back. And we did.
Half a year later, it's back to the good stuff. The Powells essentially moved their business to Spokane Valley, but kept the name. They didn't have time to wait for a Sandpoint rebuild, Powell says, since they also make chocolates for a store they own in Spokane's flour mill.
All the homemade goodies that we made up in Sandpoint, we make them here now.
They kept the name since it's a shop locals came to know and love. Powell says their insurance policy kept them afloat in the aftermath of the Sandpoint fire and allowed them to remodel this space in the valley into a small chocolate factory. So the question now, will they return to Sandpoint?
We're hoping someday to go back there, when we find the right location that's good for our business plan, we want to go back there.
What the Powells know for sure is that the inland Northwest has a sweet tooth and this spot will work because despite this fire and the following setbacks, their customers, well, they still want chocolate.
It's life, you got to continue. The universe keeps moving.
In Spokane Valley, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
Certainly seems like he has the right attitude,
Yes,
right?
he does.
Well, in other news, it'll be years before we see these on the roads en masse, autonomous vehicles, also known as self-driving cars. But Washington lawmakers want some rules on the books before that happens, safety being a top priority.
Yeah, legislators are also looking at liability, the impact on low-income communities, and whether there should be a special driver's test for AV operators or if they need a license at all.
Can I put my 6-year-old kid in there and send him to grandma's house? I mean, what's the requirement for an AV if you don't have a driver's license? Do you need one?
So research shows AVs will be safer by design. Cars currently using assisted driver technology are getting into fewer crashes of all kinds, especially rear enders and those that happen when a driver is backing up. Okay, so what is more convenient than a drive-through window? Not much, right? Fast food restaurants, coffee stands, banks, even wedding chapels have a drive-through now, but a growing number of cities are banning any new drive-throughs from being built. Why? Well, environmentalists point to your idling vehicle. They say the additional carbon emissions being released negatively impact climate change.
We want to hear from you. How often do you use a drive-through, whether that be for banking, pharmaceuticals, or anything else? You can share your answer on the KREM 2 mobile app. Just hit the Vote Now tab. Minneapolis, by the way, is the latest city to pass an ordinance banning companies from building new drive-through windows. Similar legislation is also in effect in Missouri, New York, New Jersey, and California. Current drive-throughs would still be in use. Some cities hope the ban cuts down on traffic emissions and litter while also improving pedestrian safety.
There is conflicting research on this topic, though. Some reports show banning drive-throughs could improve overall health. But a study out of LA, which is a city that actually banned drive-throughs in 2008, showed obesity rates have actually gone up ever since.
So at the start of the story, we asked you how often do you use drive-throughs? You have weighed in. It looks like the bulk saying you use them monthly, well, or weekly, kind of bouncing back and forth there.
I think that's about accurate between all the, the pharmacy and I think it's.
They are convenient.
The convenience is hard to beat.
Especially, but I guess I can see the concerns as well.
Yeah,
So we'll keep you posted on what happens.
All right, still ahead tonight, a North Idaho woman trying to find a man she says paid for her family's dinner, and she's turning to Facebook for help.